Hello, FreshBaked, and welcome back to this week's construction update from around the Disneyland Resort. This week we're starting on Main Street Disneyland and the photo supply company, where the rumored closure of this location it's not a rumor. Though Disney hasn't said anything officially, obviously their actions have spoken for them. That is, where once it was the Main Street Photo Supply Company that featured Nikon products, it is now just a place. It does say photo supply company still on the sides of the building, which I would imagine by the time we're back there in the park this coming weekend, those signs may be gone as well. So any doubt about whether or not the photo supply company could be a going concern is no longer a doubt. And of course, the store is closed on this day. And to demonstrate how irrelevant this location has become, they needed only accommodate PhotoPass. That was pretty much it. And therefore, guests are being redirected to the Esplanade to view and purchase PhotoPass photos. And that was accomplished with a card table and a couple of monitors. And that's it. You'll find this setup right now over by the ticket booths on the harbor entrance side of the Esplanade. Now, you may be wondering why they are sending PhotoPass guests all the way out of the park and into the middle of the Esplanade rather than sending them somewhere else on Main Street. And that's because Disney feels like guests may want to get those photos without having to go into the park. It doesn't really answer the question of, well, what if they don't want to leave the park? What if they want to get their PhotoPass photos when they're in the park? But I digress. I guess it's more logical that guests want to do this, I guess, on their way out. I mean, you could get those. You can view these photos really anywhere and anytime, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But the logic there is that they want to accommodate guests without having to send them into the park to see those photos. I'm not sure why they believe that, but it does explain why the newsstands recently went under a refurb of their own. The newsstand that you find at the main entrance has two halves, one inside the gate and another half outside the gate. And it's this outside half that will become the new home for what's left of the photo supply company. You'll be able to get your PhotoPass photos, and I would imagine a few other camera-related accessories like memory cards or maybe charging cables, possibly a fuel rod station. That seems logical. I don't expect this to take very long, at least not out front. I would imagine probably in a month or so. And then meanwhile, back in the park, nothing specific is rumored for the photo supply company other than that it's most likely just going to be an extension of the China closet. I don't know if they're going to be knocking down any walls or anything like that, but it's just going to become more regular gift shop. We'll keep you posted. Until then, let's go to New Orleans Square for an update on Pelican's Landing. It's already in the lexicon of Disney fans, and the next question really is what is it going to be? I tried to get some coverage of Pelican's Landing from the Mark Twain, but I could only film from the middle deck on Saturday, so the view is limited. They weren't letting guests on the top deck. But you can see some heavy digging equipment there, and that all of the concrete has been removed up to the tree on the other side of the scrim. And then Liz got this coverage earlier last week. Here's a classic Knothole Gang view. Very proud of my wife for getting this shot. As you can see, they're fairly serious about this. Now the question is, what is it that they're up to? The grapevine told us at first that it was going to be extended seating for Harbor Galley, though really it's seating for anything in the area. Of course, it's not just for Harbor Galley. Seating is something that Disney has been very short on for a long while, so it is welcome. Now, the OC Register, though, went ahead and is calling it a multi-level waterfront dining area, which sounds considerably more fancy than extended seating. Though they didn't really go beyond that in terms of describing what the plans were. But I look at this space and I'm trying to find, in my mind's eye, room for an upper and lower dining area. But then again, I often underestimate how much can be done in limited space. So I'm not sure if I'm an authority on what they can possibly do here, if a multi-level dining area is possible in the space provided. This here is perhaps the best view of the depth of space they have to work with. And it makes me wonder, maybe because it's more wide than it is deep. So I'm wondering if maybe instead of the two levels being stacked on top of each other, which is the natural assumption, maybe they might try to build one high level near to the Harbor Galley side and one lower level near to the Tom Sawyer rafts, side by side, 2 levels side by side rather than 2 long decks on top of each other. And I kind of almost feel like I might prefer this because it would help preserve a view of the river as you walk along that space on the paths up there by the Haunted Mansion. You don't really get a good view as you approach Harbor Galley, so that might be a good spot for a higher tier per se. But if they put a 2-tier seating area along the length of the river all the way to Tom Sawyer's rafts, will that obscure the view from the walkways? Is that something that we want to preserve, I wonder? So that's we're gonna have to watch this and see how that develops. I guess we're gonna know fairly soon. The project is gonna take some time, but my understanding is that it's gonna be done by Christmas season. So we'll stay tuned on this, of course. Meanwhile, while we're in the area, this popped up for a few days along the river. Now, the work itself is not very newsworthy. As mentioned, the walls were up for just a couple of days, so it wasn't anything major. But what is newsworthy is where that work was being done. And as I understand it, buried in the ground behind those walls is one of the show lights. The ones that pop up from underground for Fantasmic, for example, they can extend those upwards. There's about, I want to say there's at least 3, maybe more, of those kinds of lights. Now, before we get too excited about the fact that they're working on Fantasmic lighting, it is still, as I understand it, unlikely that we'll be seeing Fantasmic anytime soon. My best guess is still after the new year, maybe into February, or who knows how long after that. But they could be working on getting these lighting instruments ready for Christmas and the fireworks show. And the plan, I believe, is to be able to view projections on the river for the Christmas fireworks show. The river used to be a pretty decent second option for fireworks. If you couldn't get to the castle in time, you didn't want to wait for 3 hours to get a good spot. But post-COVID, they have not been showing any of the projections. If you can see the fireworks from this location, you can see the fireworks over the Big Thunder, and you can hear the music, but there were no projections, and I don't expect there to be any for the Halloween show either, or there hasn't been so far. So the possibility here is that they want to be able to make projections available for guests on the rivers of America, which would be great. Okay, next, let's head over to Adventureland to find this curious project started recently for Tarzan's Treehouse. And I use the word curious because it was unscheduled, unplanned, which suggests that something is broken or not up to standard. The scrims, etc., are up around just the main tree that you climb up before getting to the bridge. But I'm not sure if that necessarily means that that's where the problem is. It does seem logical, though, that if they needed to work on the bridge, for example, let's say there was something wrong with the bridge, that they would have put a scrim up around the bridge as well, because that's where they're going to be working. So maybe they are working on the tree. They did also put walls up around the waterfall at the base of the attraction, but the water is still running. So I'm not sure. I guess that could mean that they're working on that area as well. I guess really what I'm trying to say is that I don't have any idea what's that issue, and I can't discern anything from where they have the scrims up and where the walls are up. I can only say I think that they don't have any intention of getting rid of the treehouse, and they better not, because what else could they do with such a small space that isn't yet another gift shop? You know what I mean? We don't need any more gift shops. We need attractions. We need a place to put people. So in my eyes, Tarzan's Treehouse is untouchable in that sense. It's a very definite part of the Adventureland experience, whether or not anybody even goes up the tree. It's like saying that the rivers of America are a waste of space because there's no guests walking or eating or shopping on the actual water. And I'm actually going to stop talking now because that is dangerous talk. Okay, and that's it for proper construction. I do want to show you guys this. We picked this up when we were doing our acoustic coverage. Churros went up a quarter. They're now $5. They were $4.75 just a minute ago, so just an FYI on that. It's not a big deal, but just something that we noticed. And then also, this is more of an ops issue. I prefer to park at the Toy Story parking lot as opposed to the Mickey and Friends because it's just way more efficient. And it's been particularly efficient in these opening months. This weekend was the first weekend where I encountered this. This is normally the waits. That's a bag check line right there that you're seeing against the fence at Toy Story parking lot. Normally that line, or hasn't existed since they've reopened the Toy Story lot. The queues it was maybe a 5-minute wait, if that. Anytime you went to get your bag checked, it was super efficient. Now I still, having seen this is a good sized line. I still recommend parking at Toy Story, and I will continue to recommend that forever. I guess this is more a symbol, an indicator that people are coming to the parks, especially on the weekends. So observe that and take that for what it's worth. And that's it, guys. That's it for our update today, our construction update. Thank you guys very much for watching. Do stay tuned for more from FreshBaked, obviously. We've got the podcast that we just put out yesterday. I hope you caught that. We've got the trip report from this weekend. And obviously, today, we're going to be at Oogie Boogie Bash. We'll be at Oogie Boogie Bash today. Lots of coverage coming from there. We've got a live stream, hopefully, coming from there that night or tonight. So stay tuned for that. And then stay tuned for our coverage from Oogie Boogie, hopefully on Friday. So otherwise, follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBaked Disney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBaked Disney. And if you like our show and you want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/FreshBaked. And with that, I love you guys very much. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And FreshBaked.